Today we are diving into the fascinating world of Canadian 1-cent coins. Canada's humble penny has a rich history, and some of these small copper coins can be worth a fortune today. We'll be counting down the top 9 most valuable and historically significant Canadian 1-cent coins, discussing their background, key details, and what makes them so valuable. So, let's get started. First up, the 2006 Canadian penny was part of a transitional phase for the Royal Canadian Mint. This year saw the production of both copper-plated zinc and copper-plated steel coins. The major difference between these two lies in their magnetic properties. One is non-magnetic, copper-plated steel. This distinction is important for collectors, as some versions are rarer than others. When assessing the value of the 2006 Canadian 1-penny coin, condition plays a critical role. Coins in old or circulated condition tend to have wear and tear, reducing their numismatic value. However, some variations still hold a premium. If you have a 2006 Canadian penny in well-worn condition, it may still be worth a few cents above face value, particularly if it is a non-magnetic variant. In contrast, uncirculated or mint-state coins can fetch significantly higher prices, especially if they display the P mint mark, which was introduced to indicate a plated composition. A particularly valuable version of the 2006 Canada 1-cent coin is the non-magnetic variety without the P mint mark. This variant is rare because it was minted in smaller numbers compared to its magnetic counterpart. Collectors and numismatists highly seek after these coins, and depending on the grade, they can command prices ranging from a few dollars to over $500 in exceptional condition. One important consideration for collectors is the general wear and tear associated with old coins. An old condition 2006 penny will typically exhibit signs of circulation, including scratches, discoloration, and loss of original luster. Despite these imperfections, it remains a collectible piece, especially if it falls under one of the rarer varieties. For those seeking to determine the exact composition of their coin, a simple magnet test can help differentiate between the steel and zinc versions. In addition to composition variations, the 2006 Canadian 1-penny coin has a significant place in history due to its role in the eventual discontinuation of the penny in Canada. The Royal Canadian Mint ceased production of the penny in 2012, making the 2006 issues among the last decade of production. This historical relevance adds to the desirability of 2006 pennies for collectors. The market value of a 2006 old-condition Canadian 1-cent coin largely depends on demand and rarity. Coins in extremely worn condition, with common attributes, typically hold minimal premium, whereas those with rarer compositions or die varieties can fetch higher amounts. Collectors often seek well-struck specimens with clear date marks, smooth edges, and minimal corrosion. For anyone interested in selling or collecting these coins, online marketplaces, coin dealers, and numismatic auctions offer excellent opportunities to determine their true worth. It is always advisable to have valuable coins appraised by a professional numismatist to ensure accurate identification and valuation. While a heavily circulated 2006 Canada 1-cent coin may not seem valuable at first glance, it still holds historical and numismatic significance. Whether you are a casual collector or an avid numismatist, keeping an eye out for rare variations could result in a surprising find. Next up, the 1945 Canadian 1-cent coin was minted during the final year of World War II, making it a historically significant coin. At the time, Canada was still using bronze, 95% copper, 3% tin, and 2% zinc for its pennies, a composition that had remained largely unchanged since 1920. The coin features King George VI on the obverse, with the Latin inscription Georgius VI Gexet, meaning George VI by the grace of God, King and Emperor of India. The reverse of the coin features the iconic maple leaf design, a symbol of Canadian heritage, along with the date 1945, and the words Canada and 1 cent. When assessing the value of a 1945 Canadian penny in fine condition, collectors look for certain characteristics. Fine condition means the coin has been in circulation and shows moderate wear, but the details of the design, including the lettering and the portrait of King George VI, are still visible. There may be some loss of finer details, but the coin should still be recognizable with no major damage. The value of a 1,945 Canadian 1 minicent coin in fine condition typically ranges from $0.50 to $2, depending on the demand and specific characteristics. However, higher grade examples in extremely fine XF or uncirculated MS65 or higher example can be worth over $50, with some rare high-grade specimens reaching even higher valuations at auctions. There are also notable varieties and errors associated with the 1,945 Canadian penny. Some of the most sought-after varieties include the blunt 5 and pointed 5 variations in the date. The pointed 5 variety is generally considered to be rarer and can command a premium among collectors. Additionally, mint errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or repunched dates can significantly increase the value of the coin. Collectors interested in acquiring or selling a 1,945 Canadian 1 cent coin should consider having it professionally graded by a reputable numismatic organization such as PCGS or NGC. This ensures that the coin's condition is accurately assessed, which can help determine its true market value. Online marketplaces, coin shows, and numismatic auctions are great places to buy or sell these coins. Beyond its monetary value, the 1,945 Canadian penny holds historical significance. It represents a period when Canada was actively involved in World War II, and its design reflects the country's heritage and resilience during a crucial time in global history. Many collectors seek out this coin not only for its rarity, but also for its connection to this important era. Next up, the 1,950 Canadian 1/4 cent coin was minted during the post-war period when Canada was rebuilding its economy. The coin is composed of bronze, consisting of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. This composition gives the coin a distinctive reddish-brown hue, which can darken over time due to oxidation. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of King George VI, with a Latin inscription GEOGIVES 6D I Gratia Rex, meaning George VI, by the grace of God, King. The reverse of the coin showcases Canada's iconic maple leaf design, the denomination 1 cent, and the country name Canada. When evaluating the value of a 1,950 Canadian penny in fine condition, collectors look for specific characteristics. A fine condition coin shows moderate wear, but still retains clear details of the design, including the lettering and the portrait of King George VI. While some finer details may be worn down, the coin remains identifiable without any major damage or corrosion. The value of a 1,950 Canadian $1 cent coin in fine condition typically ranges from $0.25 to $1, depending on collector demand and market conditions. However, higher grade examples in extremely fine FF or uncirculated MS condition can fetch significantly higher prices. An uncirculated specimen with full red luster can be worth $10 to $50, while certified mint state MS65 or higher coins may command even higher prices at auctions. There are a few notable varieties and mint errors associated with the 1,950 Canadian penny. Some of the most sought-after variations include die cracks, off-center strikes, and repunched dates. Coins with these errors are rarer and can attract higher premiums from collectors. Additionally, well-preserved specimens with a strong strike and minimal surface marks are always in higher demand. For collectors interested in buying or selling a 1,950 Canadian 1 cent coin, professional grading services such as PCGS and NGC can provide an accurate assessment of the coin's condition. Certified coins often achieve better prices in the market due to their verified authenticity and grading. Online marketplaces, coin shows, and auctions are great platforms to find buyers and sellers for these vintage pennies. Beyond its monetary value, the 1,950 Canadian penny holds historical significance. It was minted in an era of economic stability and growth following World War II, reflecting Canada's progress and national identity. Many collectors appreciate this coin not only for its numismatic value, but also for its connection to this transformative period in Canadian history. Next up, the 2004 Canadian 1 cent coin was minted during the later years of Canada's penny production, just 8 years before the denomination was officially discontinued in 2012. The coin was struck by the Royal Canadian Mint and features a composition of copper-plated zinc, a change from earlier bronze cents. Some varieties from this year were also made with copper-plated steel, which can be identified using a magnet test. On the obverse of the 2004 penny, we see a right-facing portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Susanna Blunt. This design, introduced in 2003, marked a significant change, as it was the first Canadian portrait of the Queen without a crown. The inscription reads, "Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen," meaning, the reverse of the coin features the classic maple leaf design by George Kruger Gray. This iconic image had been used on Canadian pennies since 1937 and remained until the penny's final year in 2012. The words Canada and 1 cent are inscribed along with the year 2004. When evaluating a 2004 Canadian 1/9-cent coin in bad condition, it's important to understand how wear affects its value. A heavily circulated coin may have scratches, discoloration, and surface damage, which significantly lowers its numismatic value. Bad condition coins often trade for face value or slightly above if they hold an interesting variety or error. The typical value of a 2004 Canadian penny in poor condition is around $0.01 to $0.05. However, certain varieties, such as the magnetic and non-magnetic versions, can attract collector interest. Coins in better condition, such as uncirculated, MS60 or higher, can be worth between $1 and $10. Proof-like or specimen strikes with full luster can fetch even higher prices among collectors. One of the most notable varieties from 2004 is the P mint mark version. This letter, located below the Queen's portrait, indicates that the coin was struck using a plated steel composition. These pennies are generally more sought after than the standard versions. Additionally, error coins, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, and die cracks, can command much higher values depending on their rarity and market demand. Collectors interested in selling or acquiring a 2004 Canadian penny should consider professional grading from services like PCGS or NGC, especially for high-grade or error specimens. Online marketplaces, numismatic auctions, and coin shops are the best places to trade these coins. Beyond its monetary value, the 2004 Canadian penny represents an important era in Canadian coinage history. It was part of the final decade of penny production before Canada decided to eliminate the denomination due to rising production costs and declining use in transactions. For this reason, even a heavily worn 2004 penny can serve as a meaningful historical artifact for collectors. Next up, 1993 Canada 1 cent coin is an interesting piece of Canadian currency. This particular coin features the iconic maple leaf design created by Canadian artist G.E. Kruger Gray, which has been part of Canada's coinage since 1937. The design was meant to represent the strength of the nation and its connection to nature, as the maple leaf has long been a symbol of Canada. The 1993 version of this coin was minted with a composition of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. It's important to note that while this particular year saw the continued use of the traditional copper alloy, the 1 cent coin would eventually be discontinued in 2012 due to rising production costs and inflation. However, the 19931 cent remains a part of Canadian history, and even today, collectors still take interest in it. Now, let's talk about the value of this coin, especially when it's in bad condition. While the 19931 cent coin was produced in large numbers, over 300 million to be exact, it doesn't necessarily mean it's worth a lot, especially when it's heavily worn. In poor condition, you'll likely find the coin has scratches, discoloration, and a lot of the fine details may be worn down. In these circumstances, its value is typically minimal. A 19931 cent coin in bad condition could be worth only its face value of 1 cent or perhaps around 5 to 10 cents depending on market demand and collector interest at any given time. Unlike coins in better condition, such as those with a sharp, clear design, coins with significant wear aren't going to make a significant impact on the market. However, that doesn't mean this coin is entirely without value. Even though it might not fetch much in bad condition, it still has appeal to certain collectors. Some people collect coins based on the year, rarity, or even specific design features. And while the 19931 cent may not be rare overall, it is part of the last series of the copper 1 cent coins before Canada switched to smaller, less expensive designs in the mid-2000s. The discontinuation of the 1 cent coin in 2012 also adds a layer of interest, making the remaining ones, even in poor condition, somewhat rarer than before. When you're dealing with a coin in bad condition, it's important to know how to assess its quality. Coins are graded based on a scale from poor to mint state, and a bad condition coin typically falls into the good or fair categories. In these grades, the design is still visible, but many of the finer details have been worn away due to handling, exposure to the elements, or circulation. When assessing your coin, look for signs of wear like dullness, scratches, or discoloration. A coin that has been kept in relatively good condition will retain much more of its original shine and intricate details, making it more desirable to collectors. In conclusion, while a 1993 Canada 1-cent coin in bad condition might not be worth much in terms of financial value, it still holds its place as a historical piece of Canadian currency. Coins like these can be valuable in the sense that they are reminders of a time before the 1-cent coin was discontinued and are an interesting part of the broader story of Canadian coinage. So, whether you're a collector or just curious about the coin's worth, understanding its history and condition is key. Remember, even worn coins can hold sentimental and historical value, and they are always worth keeping an eye on, as they may hold a special place in the hearts of collectors in the future. Next up, by the Royal Canadian Mint. This specific coin, like many others in the series, features the image of Queen Elizabeth II, who has been a central figure on Canadian currency for decades. What makes the 1969 version stand out is not just its appearance, but the context in which it was minted. First, let's take a look at the design. The reverse side of the 1969 1-cent coin features the familiar maple leaf motif, a symbol that is deeply associated with Canada. It shows a single maple leaf with fine detailing capturing its veins and shape, symbolizing Canada's natural beauty and the importance of the maple tree to the country's history and culture. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was designed by artist Arnold Machin. This particular effigy of the Queen, with her youthful and calm expression, was used on Canadian coins from 1965 until 1989. Her image was meant to capture the monarch's reign, which at the time was still relatively young and full of promise for the country. In terms of composition, the 1969 Canadian 1-cent coin was made primarily of copper, which was the standard material for many coins in that era. This gave the coin its characteristic reddish hue. The weight of the coin was approximately 3.24 grams, and it had a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. The design was relatively simple, but its elegance stood out in the collection of Canadian coins produced during that time. Now, let's talk about the historical context. The 1960s was a transformative period for Canada. The country was in the midst of significant changes in both political and cultural spheres. In 1969, Canada was still a decade away from its centennial celebration, but the country was already experiencing shifts in its identity, moving away from British influence while also cherishing its British ties. Queen Elizabeth II, the monarch at the time, was an essential figure in Canadian life, representing both the historical ties to Britain and the ongoing evolution of Canadian national identity. The 1969 1-cent coin is therefore a reflection of this transitional moment in Canada's history. While the coin itself may seem like just a small piece of currency, it carries with it the weight of the times, representing an era of change and progress. The 1969 1-cent coin is also part of the broader series of Canadian coins produced during the 1960s, which were all marked by the same sense of post-World War II optimism and a growing sense of Canadian sovereignty. When it comes to the value of the 1969 Canadian 1-cent coin, it's important to consider several factors, such as its condition, rarity, and the demand from collectors. In its circulated state, the 1969 1-cent coin is generally valued at its face value, which is 1 cent. However, like many older coins, the value can increase depending on its condition. Coins that are in mint or uncirculated condition tend to fetch higher prices on the collector's market. For example, a 1969 1-cent coin in very fine condition could be worth around 5 to 10 cents, while a coin in perfect mint condition might be worth more. It is also worth noting that certain variations of the 19691 1-cent coin can be more valuable, while the 19691 1-cent coin is not as rare as some other coins. There are some special editions and minting errors that can make certain pieces more sought after. If you happen to come across a 19691 1-cent coin with a significant error, such as a double die or a miss strike, it could be worth a lot more to collectors. In recent years, the value of the 19691 1-cent coin has remained relatively stable. As of today, most 19691 1-cent coins are worth very little in terms of actual purchasing power, given the high inflation rates and the fact that Canada phased out the penny in 2013. However, for coin enthusiasts and collectors, this coin holds historical significance. It's a reminder of a time when the penny was still in circulation, and it represents a piece of Canadian history that connects the present to the past. Next up, the 1949 Canadian 1-cent coin is a remarkable piece, not only because of its age, but also due to its association with the early years of Queen Elizabeth II's reign. This coin is a part of the series minted during the late 1940s, just before Canada shifted from the reign of King George VI to Queen Elizabeth II in 1952. It carries historical significance as one of the last coins of the George VI era, while also becoming a symbol of the new era under Queen Elizabeth II. At the time of its minting, Canada's economy was transitioning. World War II had just ended, and the country was recovering from the effects of the war. The coin itself reflects the classic design of the period. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Mary Gillick. This image was one of the first effigies of Queen Elizabeth II used on Canadian coins after her ascension to the throne in 1952. But the 1949 coin is still part of the transition period, showcasing a youthful image of the Queen at the time of her coronation. On the reverse of the coin, we see the iconic Canadian maple leaf design. The maple leaf has long been a symbol of Canada, representing the country's natural beauty and strength. The 1-cent coin was made of bronze, which gives it its distinctive reddish-brown color. Over time, this copper-based alloy tends to tarnish, but when the coin is in excellent condition, its details remain sharp, and the color can be quite striking. Now, let's talk about the condition and value of this coin. A 1949 Canadian 1-cent in excellent condition is a true gem for collectors. Most of these coins were heavily circulated, so finding one in excellent condition, meaning one that has minimal wear and retains sharp details, can be rare. Coins in such condition typically fetch higher prices in the market. The value of a 1949 Canadian 1-cent coin is largely influenced by its condition, with examples in extremely fine or uncirculated grades being the most valuable. As of recent years, a 1949 1-cent in good condition can range from a few dollars to about $5 to $10 USD. However, coins in excellent or uncirculated condition can reach values between $20 and $50 USD, or even higher, depending on the market and any special attributes the coin might have, such as unique mint marks or a particularly well-preserved strike. Another factor that adds to the coin's value is its rarity. In 1949, Canada produced a relatively small number of these 1-cent coins compared to other years. There's also an interesting piece of trivia associated with this particular coin. In 1949, there were some coins that were minted with the wrong size of the copper, causing some to be slightly off-center or exhibit irregularities in weight. Such mistakes can make these coins more sought after, as collectors of error coins often value these imperfections highly. For those looking to add this coin to their collection, it's important to understand that the condition is key. Collectors grade coins on a scale from poor to mint state, with excellent being a high level of preservation. Coins in excellent condition will have sharp and crisp details, no signs of heavy wear, and the surfaces should be free of significant blemishes. If you come across one of these coins in excellent condition, it's worth considering its potential for resale, or perhaps holding onto it as a part of your personal collection. Next up, design and monetary system of the country. The obverse of the coin features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, which was designed by renowned sculptor Arnold Machin. This portrait has been used on Canadian coins for several decades, but it holds particular significance because it represents a milestone in Canadian numismatics. The Queen is shown facing right, with her tiara and a dignified regal pose. Along with her image, the year 1974 and Canada are inscribed around the edge of the coin. Now, when it comes to the reverse of the 1974 1-cent coin, the design is iconic in its own right. The reverse features a detailed image of the famous Canadian maple leaf, which is a symbol of the country's natural beauty and heritage. This design was created by Canadian artist G. E. Kruger Gray and has appeared on 1-cent coins since 1937. In the case of the 1974 version, the leaf is prominently displayed with the words 1 cent above it and Canada inscribed below. However, when we're talking about a coin in bad condition, things start to change. Coins can become worn, scratched, and discolored over time, especially when they've been circulated heavily. For the 1974 1 cent, the most common issues with bad condition coins include fading details on the Queen's portrait and the maple leaf design. The coin may have a worn-down or pitted surface due to friction and contact with other coins in circulation. This wear often leads to the loss of finer details, which can drastically affect the coin's visual appeal. The once clear lines and inscriptions may become indistinguishable, making it hard to read the year or even identify the coin at first glance. As for the value of a 1974 Canadian 1-cent coin in poor condition, it's important to know that its worth is largely determined by the level of damage it has sustained. Coins that are heavily worn and have visible scratches or corrosion are typically worth very little in the market. A standard 1974 1 cent in bad condition might only fetch a few cents, or perhaps just the face value, which is 1 cent. However, there are other factors that can slightly increase the coin's value, such as its rarity, or if it has any unique attributes that set it apart from the common circulation pieces. It's worth noting that even in poor condition, if you have a rare variety of the 1974 penny, like one with a minting error, its value could rise above the typical market rate. For example, if the coin has a significant error, like a double strike or a misaligned die, collectors may be willing to pay a premium. But in the case of a regular 1974 1 cent that's seen better days, you can expect it to be valued based on its historical significance rather than its condition. A badly worn coin from 1974 is likely to be a curiosity piece, a reminder of an era before the penny's discontinuation in 2012. While its market value may not be high, its historical value to numismatists and collectors might be. One thing to keep in mind is that, although the 1-cent coin has been discontinued, it's still legal tender in Canada. This means that while it may no longer be actively used in daily transactions, it can still be exchanged for its face value. So, if you find a worn 1974 penny, you can still spend it, although it's more likely to be of interest to coin collectors than to retailers. Over the years, Canadian pennies have gained interest from collectors for various reasons. Some people appreciate the coin's design, while others focus on its historical context. The 1974 1 cent is a reminder of a time when smaller denominations were still part of the monetary system. Its value has fluctuated, and in the context of a bad condition coin, it's more about the sentimental and historical connection, rather than the raw market value. Next up, the 1946 1 cent coin is part of Canada's post-World War II era, a time when the country was beginning to move forward from the war and shaping its modern identity. The coin itself is made from bronze, a metal that has been widely used in Canadian coinage since the early 1900s. The design on the reverse of the coin, which was created by renowned Canadian engraver G. H. Kruger Gray, shows a sprig of maple leaves, a symbol of Canadian heritage. This design has remained a strong representation of Canada throughout many years of coinage. Now, let's take a closer look at the obverse, where the profile of Queen Elizabeth II is seen. The Queen was still a young monarch at the time, having ascended to the throne in 1952. However, in 1946, she was not yet Queen. The coin actually features the effigy of her father, King George VI. His portrait is shown on the obverse of this coin, which is common for coins minted in the years immediately before Elizabeth's reign. The Queen's image would not appear on Canadian currency until after her father's death, in the early 1950s. As for the condition, extra fine, or EF, means the coin has visible details and sharpness, but has experienced some wear. The wear is typically minor, often on the highest points of the design, such as the crown on the king's head or the upper portions of the maple leaves. For coin collectors, the EF grade indicates that the coin is still in relatively good condition, with the major features still visible and the overall design intact. Regarding value, the 1,946 cent coin in extra fine condition can be worth more than its face value depending on demand, rarity, and the coin's condition. While 1-cent coins from this era are relatively common, the overall demand for them in collector circles can drive the price up. It's important to note that the value of this coin can fluctuate based on factors such as the current market, the condition of the coin, and the presence of any unique characteristics. A coin like this might fetch anywhere from $1 to $5 or more if it is in extra fine condition, but prices can vary significantly. For those looking to collect or invest in this coin, it's essential to know that proper storage and care will help maintain its value. Coins should be kept in a cool, dry place, ideally in a protective holder to avoid damage from environmental factors. If you happen to come across a 1,946 1-cent coin in mint or higher grades, such as uncirculated, the value could be considerably higher. In conclusion, the 1,946 extra fine 1-cent coin from Canada is a great piece of numismatic history. With its ties to the post-war period and the transition from King George VI to Queen Elizabeth II, it offers a glimpse into a pivotal time in Canadian and global history.